What is up? I'm Harbor Bickmore with Extra Credit Design Club, and today we are going to talk about how to talk with clients who may have not worked with graphic designers before. In this video, I kind of wanted to talk about design rhetoric. So not really practical how-tos or design principles or tools. This is more thinking about design, how to frame design in different contexts. I'm going to introduce a metaphor, a way of considering design and maybe communicating the value of design to others. And this metaphor really helps with two things. Number one, it, as I said, helps communicate the value of graphic design to non-designers and helps you establish a working relationship with clients who aren't used to working with graphic designers. And number two, it will help you save a lot of time in your design process by cutting down on what you may consider unnecessary, design options or too many revision cycles. So that's what this rhetoric might help you do. With that being said, this is simply a way of thinking about graphic design, not the way. It just is another option. If this resonates with you, awesome, use it. If this does not, awesome, now you know how not to approach design in the future. The metaphor is this. As a graphic designer, think of yourself as a doctor. Think of your client as a patient who is coming in to see you. You don't know, maybe they're sick, maybe it's just a general checkup. Either way, they have a problem as a patient, and you as a doctor are going to give them the best solution. Now, before we dive deep into it, if you're rolling your eyes like, okay, doctors save lives and graphic designers do doodles, that's fine. Like I said, I'm not trying to say anything about the nobility of the design career or no. It just is a valuable metaphor when communicating the value of design to non-designers and as a way to cut down what you might see as unnecessary work. Just so you know, I'm not too this and that. I'm a graphic designer because I like graphic design. Right? I don't think it's going to change the world. I don't think it's saving lives. I don't think it's a particularly moral or immoral career. It's just something that's fun to do. I digress. Back to the metaphor. So as I said, this will help you establish a rapport and work with clients who are not familiar with working with graphic designers. So let me paint you a scenario, something that happened to me not that long ago, something that I'm sure has happened to you if you're a graphic designer who has done any amount of freelance work. Scene. I'm talking to my client. I gave him 3 options with 3 rounds of revision. Okay, round 1, it's nice. I'm the greatest graphic designer in the world. He likes what he sees. Cool, gives me some feedback. Round 2, he's feeling it. I just responded exactly how he needed. Okay, he gives me some feedback. Round 3, we meet up again. And my guy does a backflip. What happened? He showed it to some friends because he was excited. He showed it to his niece that has 10,000 followers on Instagram and is a blogger and has such style, and she didn't like it. Wasn't right for her. And so he decides, okay, let's go back to ground zero. I want this and this and this, and he's coming in left and right and nothing that you have previously talked about. And he says, okay, but this is just our last round of revision. Just give me, basically start over, but we won't need any more rounds. I might need to tweak 1 or 2 things here and there, but it's not a whole round of revision. It's just a little tweak. And then the scope gets out of hand. the client is making you design something that's not going to be the best it can be because you're starting from scratch and already throwing out your good ideas that you had that worked, and it's a mess. You're not happy, but you can't tell the client, my taste is better than yours. My solution was better than your niece's, who doesn't know anything, who didn't study design for 10 years, who X, Y, and Z, because that's a bad look to say to somebody, right? They're not going to be happy with you, and you're most certainly not happy with them. So I'm going to rewind and take you back to when we first met with this client, how you might interact with them with this rhetoric in mind to prevent this problem from happening. I'm going to call him Brad. I'm going to pretend he's doing a yoga company. So I'm going to sit down. I'm going to say, hey, Brad, what's up? I'm a graphic designer. Have you worked with designers before? Oh, no, you haven't? All right. So let me kind of establish how I like to work as a designer, and we'll see if this is a good fit. Me as a graphic designer, I don't necessarily work for you. Well, I work for you, obviously, but I'm designing not for you, but for your company, right? I am designing for Broga Incorporated, the yoga for dudes. Oh, God. Hey. Okay, so I am designing for your company, right? And I kind of like to help frame this. Maybe you think of me as a doctor and your company as a patient. Your company, not you, your company is coming to me and saying, Broga, it's me. I'm the best company in the world, but I got a problem. Not everyone knows that. And me as the doctor, I'm going to say, okay, I got a solution to your problem. I'm going to write you a prescription. So you can think of this first meeting, Brad, as kind of an appointment between myself and your company, and we are going to figure out how to solve the problem of visual communication. I am going to come up with a way to communicate visually the best parts of your company. What makes your company unique? Why does it deserve to exist out of all the 5,000 yoga companies that are out there? And why am I, as somebody who's trying to get into yoga, going to buy from your company as opposed to the 1,000 other companies, right? I am going to come up with a solution, a prescription, if it's a logo, if it's a business card, whatever it is. I am going to come up with a prescription that will solve your problem of communication. And then you have your meeting. You ask them, what's unique about your company? Who's your target audience? What are, this and that and this. Oftentimes, you'll find out that, Brad's yoga company is just another yoga company that doesn't really have any reason for existing. And then you decide, do you take that client? Maybe if you need the money, you take them. Maybe if you don't, then you don't take them. And let somebody else who needs the money and the practice take on that client. But if you can establish this dynamic between you and Brad and the company, it will make things so much easier. First, it will take Brad out of the equation. You are designing for the company. Brad's taste, what Brad wants to communicate, is irrelevant. You frame the conversation about what is good for the company. What's the company's problem? What does the company need to communicate? That way, in round 3, when the crap hits the fan and Brad's friends and family all have opinions on the logo, you can remind him, hey, Brad, I'm not designing for you or your niece or your friend. I'm designing for the company. And remember, the company needs to communicate X, Y, and Z. Right? Okay, so what about my design is not communicating X, Y, or Z? Or how can my design better communicate X, Y, and Z? Right? We've established the problem in the first meeting, established that I'm the person that is going to write the prescription for X problem for your company, not for you, not for your niece, not bone. And then that way you'll be able to course correct without just, well, my design's better than your design, or my opinion is better than your niece's opinion, right? So if you can establish this dynamic with a client, I am a doctor who is fixing the problem of your company, right? That will help really give you more constructive feedback. It will help you course correct without, Brad or whatever client taking it personal. It will give you a solid reason as to why you are making the decisions you are making. Oh, you said that, Broga needed to communicate X, Y, and Z, and what about this design could communicate that stronger? Now, on to the second half of this. How thinking of design in this context can save you a lot of time by cutting down design options and iterations. It's pretty standard practice to give someone, okay, I'm going to design your logo for Broga. I'll give you 3 different options. We'll have 3 rounds of revision. But can you imagine if you went into a doctor's office and you said, hey, I got a problem. I can't talk. Doctor, just give me the solution that works. That's a very different dynamic if your doctor says, well, I'm not so sure. Let me try 3 different medicines, and then we'll come back and we'll adjust the dosage of each 3 different times. You'd be like, okay, I just want this to be fixed. And now you might even communicate that same story to a new client. You'd say, hey, think of, me as a doctor and your company as a patient. It's coming in with a problem. Now, if you came to a doctor and you said, hey, I broke my arm, fix it. And the doctor gives you 3 different options with 3 different iterations, you're going to be like, this doctor sucks. I have a problem I need fixed. You went to school to fix my problem. Give me the number 1 best solution. And it's like that for graphic design. I went to a lot of school and have been designing for a very long time, all with one aim. You come to me with a problem, and I can give you the best solution. So me, as a graphic designer, this is how I work. I'm still communicating with Brad from Broga. This is how I work, is we're going to have this meeting. It's going to take an hour and a half. I'm going to really, really digest and understand the needs, the problems of your company. And then I am going to give you the best solution, because that is what I do as a graphic designer. If you can establish that, it's an entirely different dynamic. It's a confidence that comes with, oh, hey, this guy, he knows what he's talking about. He's going to give me the best solution to my problem. And it will reframe how he's thinking about his company. Like, yeah, I do have a problem. If my company's not $1 million company, I have a problem. I need to communicate better. What do I need to communicate? How do I do that? I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but my graphic designer is. But as I said at the beginning of this video, this is just one way to think of graphic design. If you're super into doing iterations and design options and you love doing that, ignore everything I have said up until this point. However, if you want to streamline your design process, you know that you can come up with the solution, and you just want to do the Paul Rand, the Stefan Sagmeister. You told me the problem, here's the solution, take it. Then this might be the approach for you. Obviously, you don't want to exclude the client from the design process. You want them to feel like they have an active role. So it's really important that they have a space to communicate very clearly what their company is, what's unique about it, everything, so that you can write that awesome prescription. You can give them their best logo, their best branding, their best ad campaign, whatever it is. And when you present your design, it's really important to harken back to that first meeting of, hey, these are the things you wanted to communicate. This is how I communicated those things. Granted, they generally will have a feedback or 2, and if their feedback is wild, coming out of left field, you think it's bad feedback, you can always ask them the question, how do you think that will better communicate this? Or Is there a part that can better communicate X, Y, and Z of the design? Maybe the colors aren't giving strength. Maybe the typeface is giving, who knows. The point I'm trying to arrive at is that you can give a client a single design option with one round of revision and still have them feel like they actively participated in the design process, because truly they have. They have communicated to you their problems, and you as the doctor then can give them the best solution. Maybe they test it out, see how it feels. Maybe that pill has an unexpected side effect, and they can communicate that, and you can, in a small way, adjust what you're doing. So there you have it. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you want to hear more of these videos in this style, I'm discussing design rhetoric, let me know in the comments. If you have any questions, concerns, anything, let me know. As always, I'm Harbor with Extra Credit Design Club, and I'll catch you in the next.